What's up? I feel like it's been forever since the two of us got to run a Birds on the Farm episode, but it's great to be back. Took some time off, but after a big week for the Cardinals system, or a big few weeks for the Cardinals system, with the draft and everything, an infusion of talent coming, and now we've got potential deadline to shake things up. So we've got a ton of stuff to talk about today. As always, I'm Sandy. This is Kareem, and we do Birds on the Farm as often as we can. But we try to keep a regular weekly schedule where we break down stuff going on in the Cardinals system, make it a little more digestible, and tell you guys what the Cardinals team is going to look like in a few years. So let's just get right into this. The Cardinals have big decisions to make, Kareem. Tell us where you think this deadline is going, really. I mean, it seems like they're trending towards sellers, but what do you think's happening here?
It's hard to say, but I would like to see them sell some of their assets that are, free agents at the end of the year. Ryan Helsley, Phil Maton, Steven Matz. I think it makes sense to deal some of those names, especially a Helsley. I know he's having a down year, but I still think that a lot of teams covet, high leverage arms at the trade deadline. And I think Helsley is a name that could net you like a pretty solid return, even if he isn't having his strongest season. Phil Maton, I don't think we expected him to have this kind of year, but I mean, he's been the most dependable force in the Cardinals bullpen this year. And I think much like Helsley, a contending team could use an arm like that in the back of their bullpen. And Steven Matz, he started a little bit this year, but more so a pen arm. And I think he's been great regardless of what role he's in. I think he's had an underrated season. And I could see a team, trade for him and move Steven Matz into their rotation, or, use him in the bullpen. I think there's a lot of different ways a guy like that could contribute for your team. So, I think those are three names that should be moved. And I think the Cardinals could net a decent return for each of those guys. And another name, Jojo Romero, he's still got a couple of years left till he's a free agent, but having a stellar season. He's another name, another reliever. I think this time of year, every contending team is looking to add a bullpen piece. And I think he's another name just to throw around. And with him not being a free agent at the end of the year, I think there could be more in return that you could get back for Romero. So, I think those are four names, all relievers that stand out to me. And hey, maybe Arenado, it's finally his time to depart. If there's a chance to get him to a team that's in contention, I think that would make sense to move on from him and waive that no trade clause. But I think more than likely we're looking at the relievers. I think that Arenado, it seems like the offseason would make more sense. But it seems like Mozeliak's going to reach out to him and see where his head's at. So should be interesting to follow. I think this could be a deadline. I think the Cardinals could make a lot of moves this deadline, and really interested to see what they end up doing.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. And the guys that you cited, plus Romero, the Cardinals really could subtract quite a bit from their team. And all of them are going to be premium options at the deadline, considering how many teams are trying to compete this year in the crowded National League, but also in the American League. And it does feel like most of the teams that aren't really contending don't have a ton to offer this year. You've got, what are you getting from the Rockies? What are you getting from the White Sox? Like, they might have one or two interesting relievers, but the Cardinals have a very solid stable to deal from. And I think you're right about that. I did want to ask you, because you brought up Romero, and I wanted to talk about him. In parts of 4 seasons with the Cardinals now, he's pitched to a 3.25 ERA. He's having what you could argue is his best year with the Cardinals right now. He's got a 2.30. It's good for a 1.83 ERA plus. So, he's been, by any definition, one of the better relievers in the National League this year. Do you think he'd return quite a bit, considering he's got, does he have 2 more years after this of team control?
I think it might be one more. I'm checking. Just going to pull up the spot track.
He's a free agent in 2027. He's only got he's got just over 4 years of service time.
Yeah. So I think next year he has one more season under control, and then he's a free agent. So
Yeah.
you're buying this season and the next season. So, I mean, for a guy that's performed, so well for this
From the left side
bullpen
too.
for the past 3 years, I mean, the track record is there. I think it would make sense to at least gauge, the level of interest with a guy like that and see, what kind of return you can get back. Because I think that relievers are so volatile. I know that to this point, Romero has been a steady option in the bullpen for the past few years, but you just never know. So I think trading a player like that who is at peak value right now, that I think a lot of teams would covet, having a left-handed reliever out of their bullpen like him. I think it would make sense to move on from him. Obviously, I mean, we're listing pretty much the whole Cardinals bullpen. And
yeah, I was going to ask, I mean, how many guys could you see the Cardinals trading from this pen? Because let's just say that they do. I think if they trade Helsley, they're going to trade everybody back there, right? Like you probably should at that point. Subtracting Helsley, like you said, even if he's not having his best year, he is your closer. He's the most electric arm in your bullpen. So once you subtract him, there's no reason to hang on to a Maton. There's no reason to hang on to Romero. Unless you really think you're going to compete next year and you want to build around him in your bullpen. But like you said, again, relievers are so volatile. So I think that if that first domino falls, you could see the Cardinals subtract at least 4 relievers. Do you think anybody else would generate any interest? I know John King hasn't had a strong season, but I've seen his name pop up. Like, could you see the Cardinals moving even more?
I don't potentially, but I think the other relievers have a little bit more control. And I think at that point, it doesn't make sense to move them. But if there is, the offer for them to get back something, notable that they think is, a good return for that player. I mean, I wouldn't say it's shocking, but I would say more so like the short-term assets, the guys that are free agents at the end of the year or the end of next season, like a Romero. I think that would make sense. But I mean, the Cardinals have a lot of bullpen pieces that have emerged the past couple of years. You look at someone like a Matt Swanson, he's performed when he's been given the ball this year at the major league level. Same can be said about a guy like Riley O'Brien, who I feel like a lot of Cardinals fans gave up on him after last year. Didn't pitch a whole lot, but the limited time that he had at the major league level, he didn't perform all that well. But so far this year, I mean, you look at the stuff, 98-mile-an-hour sinker up to triple digits, big sweeper. I mean, the stuff is there. He's performing. And someone like Gordon Graceffo, who's been used more in a relief role, I think the stuff's ticked up a little bit. I'd like to see him get a run in the bullpen in the second half. Andre Granillo has had a breakout year this year for AAA, and he's pitched a handful of innings at the major league level too. So, I mean, there's a lot of names. Even a guy like Ryan Fernandez, who last year had a breakout season. Since being demoted to Memphis, he hasn't got back up to that major league level, but I think the stuff is still there for him to be a major league caliber reliever. So I think there's a lot of interesting names in the bullpen that I'd like to see get extended looks in the second half. And, is it risky having a bunch of unproven guys in the bullpen in your second half? I guess, but at the same time, I think it's important to see if these guys are going to be staples in the bullpen moving forward. They're, cheaper guys that you have team control over. And I think it would make sense. And, in the limited time that we've seen most of those guys, they've shuffled from, Memphis and back to the major league level. They've looked good. So I think getting them more extended runs in the major league level in the second half would be really interesting. And I'd be a fan of that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. And I think, again, you could probably make the argument that the Cardinals have they probably don't have the best arm available, but they probably have like 3 or 4 of the top 15 arms available at this deadline. And I think they have probably the deepest stable of relievers to deal from. I don't know if you buy this, but according to Inside the Pen, the Cardinals bullpen ranks 4th in their power ranking metric, and they're potentially dealing the top 4 guys from that unit. So, and again, like you said, it is risky to trade away these guys, but I think if there's anything that you can trust the Cardinals with right now, it is building a bullpen. They've put together very solid bullpens in each of the last 2 seasons. And even before that, they have shown us that they are capable of building a bullpen. They're capable of making the roster moves necessary. And, they've found guys like Riley O'Brien, Matt Svanson. Chris Roycroft gave you some great innings last year. And I don't know, maybe there's something interesting there still. So the Cardinals have shown that they're capable of building a modern, effective bullpen. So I'd be okay with moving some of these guys, even guys like Jojo Romero that you want to factor into next year. I think if you can get value on them right now, I trust the Cardinals to find somebody else. They've shown me multiple years in a row that they're capable of doing it. So, yeah, I'd be interested in seeing that. If they do move these guys, how do you think new roles in the bullpen? I mean, things are going to open up. How would you see this fitting together a little bit?
I don't know who the quote unquote closer would be. Yeah. Maybe they go with more of a committee, but I mean, there are a lot of interesting names that we've talked about. A guy like Riley O'Brien really emerged this year. Matt Svanson, Gordon Graceffo, Kyle Leahy. I know that he got off to such a hot start and he's cooled down a bit since then, but he's still got high octane stuff, I would say. So I mean, there's a lot of names in the bullpen that I still think would give you some value, even if the Cardinals do move on from their top 3-4 relievers. So I don't know like what roles. I think most of these guys are going to be in a committee, and we'll see who produces and who earns that opportunity to pitch in the 8th, 9th innings. But I think to start it would be a committee, and they would move around all those names to see what spot fits best for their skills, I guess.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun to watch as these roles sort of, I don't know, get divvied up to some extent. But I mean, would you believe that Svanson's given the Cardinals 26 innings this year of 3.12 ERA baseball? Like, that's really good stuff. Kyle Leahy still has an ERA under 3 right now. It's 2.98 in over 50 innings pitched this season. That's a big time workload. And I know like he's tailed off a little bit. He's not the guy that he was in April, but he's still been excellent on the season. You've gotten great stuff out of O'Brien. Maybe there's a walk problem, but he's shown you he's capable of getting big outs, and they've given him some high leverage situations as of late. So yeah, I think you're right. You've got some guys with high octane stuff, and any one of them is capable of ascending and becoming either a setup guy or maybe a closer at some point. Gordon Graceffo, another interesting name that we've brought up. So hopefully the Cardinals are able to actually move some of these guys. I mean, how about this? I'll give you over under 2.5 of their relievers traded. What do you think?
I think I'd bet the under on that. I think they go with 2.
Come on. I would love to see them move all of them at this point after that Diamondback series.
But yeah, I mean, if I was in charge, I'd move on from an Helsley, a Maton. I think those are the 2 most likely names to be moved. Yeah. And Steven Matz, Jojo Romero. I think all 4 of those names should be heavily considered in terms of trading. And yeah, I mean, it should be interesting to see what the Cardinals do. I don't know if I still feel like they could hold on to a couple of those names, but we'll see how everything shakes out. Maybe in the second half, Steven Matz gets moved back to the rotation. You move off from an Eric Fetty,
please.
Michaelis. I don't know. It's not looking too great of late, but
yeah.
But yeah, I think at least 2 of those names, I would say. But hey, I mean, if the Cardinals end up sweeping the Rockies, winning 3 out of 4 against the Padres, and then sweeping the Marlins, maybe they're buying at the deadline and keeping some of those names instead.
That would be hilarious. I'm going to say that's probably not going to happen. Just like they've looked so non-competitive as of late. But because we do need to address the rotation as well before we get out of here and jump into some draft content. But if the Cardinals do that, is there a guy you're keeping your eye on that either has barely pitched this year or hasn't pitched at the big league level this year that you think would get a chance to make a debut in the bullpen? It can't be Liam Doyle. Please don't do that. But anybody else?
So a player that's yet to debut?
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't going to be the sexiest name, but how about like someone like a Curtis Taylor down in Memphis?
Sure.
Minor league free agent. I think he's, impressed this year. Was, started off being used in the bullpen, but I mean, we've had so many pitching injuries, especially at the AAA level, and he's performed pretty well there. So, I mean, I'd like to see him get a shot even in a bullpen role, but I don't know. Aside from him, maybe it's a Roby. He's back on the IL now, but the past few starts that he had at AAA, a lot more promising than the first couple that he had. And I think he has the kind of stuff that could easily profile in the back of the bullpen. But with the Cardinals seeming like they aren't going to, contend, I feel like those guys are, whether it be a Takara Roby, a Quinn Matthews, I feel like they're going to stick in AAA. But yeah, I mean, Curtis Taylor's a name to throw around because he's had a solid season, and I didn't really expect that. Just random minor league free agent that the Cardinals signed, and he's put together a strong season at Memphis.
Yeah, what is this, like his 12th professional season or something like that, or 10th? He's been around a while, but I guess at only 29, like maybe there's something there as a reliever next year. The Cardinals have shown that they can extract value, so hopefully that's a name to watch. But getting into the rotation side of things, obviously, like Libby is still going to make starts for you. Palante is still going to make starts for you. But if the Cardinals really decide to sell, maybe they move on from a Sonny Gray. I'm hoping that they're able to move on from both Fedde and Michaelis. You're not going to trade Michaelis, and I don't know if you can trade Fedde right now. He just is. He's my least favorite pitcher I've ever watched. But if they do that, is there any direction you see them going? Is there anything we haven't thought of? Because we've kicked around so many names here and on Deal in the Cards throughout the season. It seems like McGreevy is finally here to stay, hopefully. But other than that, like between the young pitching being injured and not ready, are there any names that we haven't thought of that could get a spot? Or are we probably doomed to watch one of Fedde or Michaelis for the rest of the season?
I think we're doomed. I mean, I just talked about Curtis Taylor.
Yeah.
Could he, like, I wouldn't be surprised if he makes a start or two at the end of the year. Aside from him, I mean, a lot of your AAA options are hurt. Like, I don't think we're going to see someone like a Alex Cornwell at the major league level. I know someone just mentioned Ian Bedell. He's making a rehab start. I don't think Bedell is going to get that opportunity. He hasn't looked great at AAA the past few years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, they're just they don't have a ton of options right now. So, I mean, it's hard to see another player emerge into that role. McGreevy is seeming like he's stepping into that, rotation spot with the way that he pitched against the Rockies. I mean, it's malpractice if he's not in the rotation for the rest of the year. You got to see what that kid has. But aside from a Michael McGreevy, like, I mean, there aren't other options to go to. Like, it sucks that the Cardinals are in this spot. Like, I wish that, Takara Roby was healthy, killing it at AAA. Same thing with Quinn Matthews. He's battling some command issues. He still doesn't look 100% in terms of his mechanics since returning from that shoulder injury, and the velocity was down his last start. So, I mean, they just don't have depth right now. You look at someone like a Zach Plesac that was brought in as a minor league free agent, and he's gotten lit up pretty much every start that he's pitched. So, I mean, not looking too hot in terms of just the depth at AAA. So it's hard to see someone else crack that spot over a Miles Michaelis, who I know Cardinals fans hate watching him pitch at this point, but I mean, there is no one else that you could bring in for that spot right now, which it's tough, but it's just the reality we're living in right now.
It's really the worst. I like, even if Sem Reversa was healthy and didn't have an 8.5 ERA in the few starts he made this year, like, I wish there was anybody else. The just overwhelming bevy of injuries the team has suffered at the upper levels of the minors with their pitching just really puts them in a terrible position, because at this point in time, you're right. Like, we're going to have to watch one of them. Before we wrap up this talk about the big league team, do you have a preference between watching Michaelis or Fedde? Just as a fan, like, who do you hate watching more, I guess?
I think probably Fedde.
I'm with you on that one.
Just because, I mean, he's walking the world too.
It's the worst.
Michaelis, I think, the strike throwing is like decent enough. I don't know. Both of those guys, I mean, it's hard to watch either of those two right now with the way they're pitching. But definitely Fedde. I think it's time to move on. And yeah, I mean, looking forward to seeing Michael McGreevy in place of him for sure.
Yeah, thank goodness. It's truly the worst thing ever. Well, and that probably about sums up the Cardinals' position entering this week. Obviously, like you said, things could change. They could go on a 9-game winner. I don't think they will, but that'd be a lot of fun. I guess there's the outside possibility that the Cardinals really sell. We could talk about that for just a second. But what do you think? Do you think like some of these rumors about trade Brendan Donovan at peak value, or maybe they move on from a Lars Nootbaar? We've heard some chatter about that recently. Maybe a Wilson Contreras gets traded, but I think he's made it very clear he wants to stay in St. Louis, and he has that no trade clause. Are there any big names on either the position player side or like a Sonny Gray that you're looking at, thinking maybe this guy's not wearing Cardinal red in 2 weeks?
I think it's going to be more of a soft sell.
Yep.
I think short-term assets, reliever pieces that are free agents at the end of the season. I just don't see the Cardinals moving on from Nootbaar when his value is a little bit down. I know that he's still, a StatCast darling, but at the same time, I don't think that's a player you want to move when his value is down a bit. Even if he's got, I think he's got one more year after this year, or maybe 2. Yeah, I don't think that's a player that you can move when his value might be a little bit down just in terms of how he's producing. And Brendan Donovan, I just don't see it. I mean, he's the glue guy of this team. I think at least in the offseason, I think an extension should be explored. Whether the Cardinals can pony up and give him the money that he wants or not is to be seen. But I think that's a guy that you build around. And I think the versatility that he brings, not only, playing in the infield, whether it be second, third base, he can play shortstop in a pinch too, but, the corner outfield as well. I think, that's a Swiss Army knife and a player that's going to be valuable for any team. I know a lot is being made about the logjam of second base, third base types in the organization. And with JJ Weatherhold coming up, I mean, it's only going to add to it, but Brendan Donovan's a player that's going to have value on any team. He could play anywhere. And, he's just been one of the more steady offensive producers since he was called up. I mean, you can bet on this guy being a 115, 120 WRC plus kind of hitter. And with the kind of versatility he has, I mean, that's a very valuable player. And now I wouldn't like to see the Cardinals move on from him, but if there is that surplus value and they can really get a haul back, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed, but I think that's a building block. I think that's someone that you should build around and, sign an extension in the offseason. We'll see how Chaim Bloom handles that, but I think this is a player you should invest in beyond, his next couple of years under team control.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Well, I hope they don't do a big time sell unless they can get creative and like buy with the future in mind at the same time. Like maybe, I'd be interested in moving a Nootbaar if there was a young controllable starter coming back, but those guys are expensive and those guys aren't on bad teams because they're valuable players. So it's just really hard to make something like that happen. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how the Cardinals play this deadline. There's going to be a lot for us to talk about for sure. And hopefully you see something akin to the 2023 deadline where the Cardinals actually brought a real wave of talent into the system. So I think it's a real possibility. But let's get to today's main topic, and that's the draft. So the Cardinals, it seems to me like there's a lot of positive energy about the Cardinals around the industry, not just Cardinals people saying the Cardinals had a successful draft. Coming out of it, Kareem, where are you on that? Do you feel like the Cardinals really killed it? Like just an overall, how would you grade this draft from the Cardinals?
I thought it was a very exciting draft.
Yeah.
I mean, the Cardinals organization, they always take the safe starting pitching prospect, the guy that's shown college success, might not have the most explosive fastball, but has secondaries he trusts, commands the ball well, but there isn't that premium strikeout stuff that projects at the next level. And I thought this year it was a complete opposite in terms of the pitchers that they targeted. It started with Liam Doyle with that first overall slot, who with that first round slot, 5th overall, who has some, reliever risk questions, right? This is someone at the start of the year, didn't sustain his velocity all that well. Has a very high effort delivery that I think a lot of people think might not work well in a rotation. So, I mean, there are some reliever risk, questions there, but I mean, you talk about a guy that led Division I baseball in strikeout rate, that's Liam Doyle. swing and miss stuff. Fastball, one of the best in the class, 70 grade pitch, gets 19.5 inches of induced vertical break, sits 95, 96 miles an hour, can get up to triple digits. It's a big time bat misser, close to 40% lift rate. You love to see the Cardinals take a swing on a pitcher like that who is able to generate so much swing and miss. You look at the Cardinals rotation right now. I mean, where's the swing and miss aside from a Sonny Gray? Eric Fetty's not giving you that. Miles Michaelis is surely not giving you that. Yeah. Michael McGreevy, love Michael McGreevy, but he's not a strikeout pitcher. Same can be said about Matthew Liberatore, although there's a little bit more swing and miss, I would say, but still, he's not a swing and miss starter. To go after someone like a Liam Doyle, who at the very least is going to give you some swing and miss, I think that was huge, and it really set the tone for the rest of the draft. Going after someone like a Tanner Franklin with your competitive balance round B pick, another Tennessee arm that his stock rose up after the year that he had. This was someone that always struggled in terms of his strike throwing for Kennesaw State, but Tennessee streamlined his mechanics this year, and his walk rate dropped significantly. We're talking about 20.5% walk rate in 2024, and he brought that down to 5.5% this year. So I think that's huge. And this is someone, flame-throwing righty, who's been up to 102. Fastball lives around 96 miles an hour, gets solid vert relative to his release. It's 18 inches of vert from a 5.6 release. So plays pretty flat at the top of the zone. And the secondaries are still a work in progress. He throws a cutter, a baby sweeper, and a changeup, but none of which has really shown too much promise yet. I think that they have the potential. Tanner Franklin has the spin capacity to have a good secondary arsenal, I would say, but he just hasn't used them all that much. So I think that'll be a little bit of a work in progress. And this is someone who was a reliever for Tennessee. I think that was more so due to the fact that Tennessee has so many arms. They have so many mouths to feed in that, pitching staff, that he just didn't get an opportunity to start. But I think, he's got the easy delivery. The stuff is there. The strike throwing is at a level now where I think he can start. It's just going to be about polishing the secondaries with him. And once he does that, which I think he will, I think this is going to be someone that's going to be developed as a starting pitcher in the Cardinals organization. Yeah. I don't think they're picking a reliever with the comp B pick right there. Franklin has too much arm talent in there. The strike throwing showing the gains that he did this year, I think it's really promising. And to get an arm like that with your comp B pick, I thought that was a home run selection. Back-to-back Tennessee Volunteers with your two pitching picks at the top. I think that was awesome to watch. And then you go all the way down to the 7th round. A guy like Peyton Graham from Gonzaga had so much helium heading into the season, had a wonderful campaign in the Northwoods League leading up to his 2025 season at Gonzaga. Only made one start. It was successful, 5 innings. He didn't allow a run. And he ended up tearing his UCL and had to undergo Tommy John surgery. But if Peyton Graham had a healthy 2025 season, especially with the kind of helium that he had entering the season, I thought this would be someone that would get, top 3 round consideration. And to get him in the 7th round is great value. I think the arm talent is there, mid to high 90s on the heater, with good characteristics, much like a Tanner Franklin. He's got a bunch of different secondaries, cutter, sweeper. He added a curveball in the Northwoods League that I think flashed plus. Changeup looks promising as well. So, I think there's a lot of pitches in there. This is going to be another guy I'm sure will be developed as a starter. And when you have that kind of stuff, and he showed it, sustaining that velocity deep into games. It was only one start for the season with Gonzaga, but in the Northwoods League, in his prior seasons, I think that this was great value in the 7th round. And then one more name I just want to throw around, Caden Eschman from Northern Kentucky. I was not aware of this name, heading into the draft, but you talk about a guy with an outlier fastball, much like a lot of the fastballs the Cardinals drafted this year. They took swings on a bunch of guys that have high quality fastballs, not in terms of just velocity, but shape as well. And Caden Eschman is right up there. I mean, you're talking about 91 to 92 miles an hour. So not the craziest velocity. I think there's a little bit more projection in there. It's been up to 96 miles an hour, but he gets 21 inches of induced vertical break, and that's from a 5.6 release. That is an absurd amount of carry that he's generating from his release height. And if we can see the velocity tick up a little bit, I mean, we're talking about a plus fastball. The command on the pitch wasn't the best. He didn't locate it in the upper third all that well this year, but I think, the specs on that fastball, I mean, that's some of the best specs I've ever seen for a fastball. Talk about 21 inches of vert from a 5.6 release. And he spins his secondaries well. He's got a cutter, sweeper, and a bigger curveball that gets like negative 20 inches of induced vertical break, which is crazy. He's another name to throw around, a little bit more raw, I would say, but I would imagine he's another guy that I think will be stretched out to start. And the stuff is really promising. A lot of swing and miss with him as well. So, yeah, I mean, those are a couple names that really stand out to me. But it was cool to see the Cardinals just target higher upside pitchers. They typically just take the safer college arm that has success at the college level. But this year, I mean, they went after guys, a lot of relievers, a lot of guys that didn't command the zone all that well, but you love their stuff and their projectability to start at the next level, even if they hadn't shown it at the collegiate level.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a huge change in philosophy just across the organization here. And you're right. I mean, I think all of us were a little surprised when the Cardinals went to Doyle with Arnold still available, still on the board. It seemed like people just thought, whoa, that is not a Cardinals pick. And I think this does show you that, hey, there's a new regime here. They're making the decisions now. This is not Mo's system anymore. I also just, want to take some time before we kind of go pick by pick here to address kind of what I think is a myth going around among Cardinals fans. It's the idea that, you should avoid a Liam Doyle or, some of these other arms they took because they have too much reliever risk. I think that's not the worst thing in the world. And looking at Doyle, I mean, we've talked about the projectability. We've talked about the reasons we like the pick, and we'll dive deeper into that in a second here. But I think what the Cardinals did was avoid a different kind of risk that they've incurred in previous years, which I call suck risk, okay? You look at Zach Thompson. Like, I liked Zach Thompson as a player. Sure, he gave the Cardinals a really good season out of the bullpen, but that's all you got out of a guy that you drafted in the first round? Are you serious? Yeah, Zach Thompson had pitchability. There were reasons to be interested in him, but the stuff was never there. And you took the weak throwing, soft tossing guy and thought, hey, we can turn him into a pitcher, not a thrower. And the risk is that he's no good at the big league level. The risk is that there's no swing and miss. And that's the same risk the Cardinals incurred with a Michael McGreevy, who they've been lucky to make the strides they have with McGreevy. There's more swing and miss than there was. There's better stuff than there was. And I don't think a lot of people saw that coming, especially coming into last year when it feels like McGreevy started to shoot up some boards. But yeah, I mean, the Cardinals have moved off of suck risk, which I think is a good thing. I think that's a great thing, actually. And you're bringing guys in where even if they're not starters, which obviously you want to target starters, but even if a guy you draft in, competitive balance round B isn't a starter, he's got a chance to be a really good reliever. Something that a Zach Thompson really isn't. He gave them one good season out of the bullpen, and he's a first-round pick that's not going to make any impact at the major league level at this point. So I think that's a huge thing for the Cardinals. You can tell me what you think about that analysis, but I'm excited to see them targeting guys with the upside to, even if they don't work out as starters, be elite relievers and have high-octane stuff for the back of your bullpen.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I think that's an awesome point that you made. I think there's no such thing as a safe pitching prospect, in 100%. My opinion.
Yes.
So you might think this guy that, commands the strike zone well, that, has the ability to get ground balls, might project well throughout a minor league system, but they might just not have the oomph to be able to get big league hitters out. There might just not be enough stuff in there. And with a lot of those guys, there isn't a fallback to be a pen arm. There just isn't enough stuff in there. So, I mean, I love to see the Cardinals target more higher upside arms, even if these guys have a little bit more reliever risk. If they do become relievers, I think they have the potential to be, back end reliever types as opposed to, depth starters that, would struggle to be in a bullpen, or might not have the stuff to profile in a bullpen. So, I mean, I like the change of strategy. That isn't to say that going after the more polished college arm isn't like it shouldn't be done at all. I mean, you look at someone like a Quinn Matthews who, a couple of years ago with Stanford, I mean, he didn't have that stuff. It was low 90s fastball. Changeup was a plus pitch, but not a whole lot besides that. The stuff certainly wasn't there to profile as much more than a back end rotation piece, but his stuff has, really ticked up since entering the Cardinal system. Same can be said about someone like a Gordon Graceffo. It seems more likely that he's going to be a pen arm, but he's been up to 100 miles an hour. And I don't think you could have said, I don't think you could have expected that out of the pitcher that he was in college, more of a low 90s fastball. So, I mean, that isn't to say more of the quote unquote safer college pitchers aren't always, like I could understand the rationale, but when you're doing it with every single pick, like that's I don't love that ideology. I think you need to take more swings throughout the draft, especially early on when you want to be shooting from some upside for sure.
Yeah, you just need to pick your spots, because the thing is, like, with the MLB draft and especially looking at college arms, like, there is good value on the pitchability side in the middle rounds. The Cardinals drafted Quinn Matthews in the 5th round. Like, that's good value. They've targeted several guys like that in recent years. I think just the thing for me is your first round pick, especially when you draft as high as they just did, when you get a top 5 pick, like, you really got to smash it. You got to knock it out of the park. And taking the safe arm 5th overall, when maybe you get a safe arm later on in the draft that you can say, hey, you know what, this guy, like, if your 7th round pick becomes a back end starter at the big league level and gives you multiple years of like passable starting pitching, that's great value. If your top 5 pick does that for you, that's not great value. Like, with the top 5 pick, you should be hunting star potential. You should be hunting for frontline starters. You should be actually throwing darts and looking to hit. So I think I'm really excited to see the Cardinals change that up. And I agree with you. Like, a hybrid approach is probably what's best. And I think that's something the Cardinals are going to do from now on. So it's just really good to see. It's a breath of fresh air. It's a change of pace. But let's just get right into this. Liam Doyle, first pick off the board. What was your reaction? How'd you feel about it? And we can get into some specifics here. Talk about how he took an underslot bonus, like some good stuff here. It's awesome.
Yeah, it was a little bit surprising. I thought that if both him and Jamie Arnold would be on the board, which they were, I feel like they would have gone after the Jamie Arnold. I think more of a safer starter guy that I think if he more so fits the kinds of trends that they've targeted: lower launch pitcher, 6'1", lower arm slot, flat approach angle fastball, good breaking stuff, commands the zone really well, and has that college track record. Back-to-back seasons being one of the top arms in the ACC. Liam Doyle doesn't have that same sort of track record. Started his career at Coastal Carolina, went over to Ole Miss last year, and we're talking about a guy that had close to a 6 ERA. So, I mean, it's not that same sort of college track record that a Jamie Arnold had, but, rebounded this year with Tennessee, had a really, really awesome season that, boosted his draft stock and led to him being selected in the top 5. I was really surprised by this pick, but at the same time, Liam Doyle was my top ranked player on the board. He was my second ranked overall player, right behind Cade Anderson in the whole class. So, I mean, no complaints here for me. I thought they would have gone with a Jamie Arnold, and he was the name that he was my realistic top, option this year, because I didn't foresee Liam Doyle being I didn't foresee him being available, and I didn't think that he would fit like the sort of trends that they go after. So, I mean, it surprised me, but at the same time, like, love the pick. I think the Cardinals got a high caliber arm that has the potential to be a frontline starter. This isn't to say he's 100% going to be there. There is still some work. I think that he needs to do a better job at spinning a breaker. Fastball is plus plus. I think his splitter has flashed plus as well, but he throws a cutter that I think has flashed a little bit, but still needs some work. And he's also got a sweeper. So I think there needs to be work in terms of just the breaking stuff to help neutralize left-handed bats. But the fastball is the calling card. 96 miles an hour, up to 100 with close to 20 inches of induced vertical break. The splitter, he reworked the splitter grip this year, and the velocity shot up significantly. It was 80 miles an hour last year. Hitters could just adjust to it. They could see it out of the hand, but this year, that pitch took a big step up, 86.6 miles an hour. So he gained almost 7 miles an hour to the splitter, played a lot better. So, I mean, I think Liam Doyle, he has the kind of stuff that you could see profiling at the top of the rotation. And I think that's what the Cardinals, desperately needed. We didn't need another back of the rotation kind of arm, especially when you're picking that high. You want someone that has the shot of being a first, being a 1-2 starter. And I think Liam Doyle presents that opportunity with the kind of stuff he has. So, I mean, big fan of the pick. I thought the Cardinals, killed it with that first pick. And as you said, to save some money for their next selection, which is another exciting player, I thought that was awesome as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised Doyle went under slot because there were mocks that had him going in the top 5 leading up to the draft. And, I don't know. I thought he was the best prospect available for the Cardinals at that spot. I know there was talk about Seth Hernandez being one of the best prospects in the draft. I never thought the Cardinals were going to go that direction. As far as Liam Doyle felt out of bounds for a Mo regime, Seth Hernandez would have been a crazy, crazy Mo pick. Like that was never going to happen in a million years. But yeah, I mean, according to Pipeline, which I know we've talked about is not maybe the most reputable outlet, Doyle's bringing a 75 grade fastball to your system right now. When's the last time the Cardinals drafted a guy with a pitch like a fastball like that? I mean, I don't think we've seen it in quite a while. So I think it's an incredibly exciting moment for the Cardinals system. I mean, is there anybody that you can think of like comp this pick to that the Cardinals have made in recent years?
I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going back, 10, plus years. Like I can't think of someone like a college arm like this that has the kind of stuff. Like they always go after like I said, more, the guys that have a track record, that can control the zone well, that have secondaries that are, proven. I mean, Doyle, I thought as the season progressed, we saw some of the secondaries more of the splitter. I thought the cutter took a step up towards the end of the year, but we're still talking about a guy that had like a 70% fastball usage. So, I mean, I don't think that fits, the kind of mold that the Cardinals, typically go after. It's usually the safer college pitcher. Think of someone like a Michael Wacha, like more than a decade ago, Marco Gonzalez, recently Michael McGreevy. Like they don't go after those higher upside arms. Zach Thompson, as we talked about earlier. This is definitely a change of pace. And I thought there could be, some change in philosophy after that made that pick. And that ended up being true as, the draft unfolded. So really going to be fascinating to see how all these guys develop. And if the Cardinals are, changing their model, is this what we should expect moving forward next year and beyond? Are they going to go after more of these higher upside arms? And yeah, like I love to see, what the Cardinals ended up doing this year. And hopefully these guys can develop. And I'm sure the new player development staff, especially on the pitching side, is pumped because, I mean, they got a lot of talent, but these are guys that need some work and need some developing. So it should be fun to watch these players develop through the system.
Yeah, I mean, and before we finish up with Doyle here, we probably should address that splitter too. The Cardinals are not an organization that has adopted the splitter the way some other organizations have in recent years. I mean, I feel like that just makes this pick even less Cardinals-y, a guy that's got this big fastball, doesn't have a lot of secondary stuff, and his next best pitch is a splitter. Are the Cardinals, I think I saw something, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I thought I saw something about the Cardinals have thrown less splitters than any other team in baseball this year.
Yeah, you don't really see it at the major league level with them. There are some guys in the minor leagues. You look at someone like a Chen Wei Lin, that comes to mind. He does have a splitter. Also throws a regular changeup. So, I mean, he's got two different changeups, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, I don't think the Cardinals have adopted, splitters in the minor leagues like some other organizations have. And it's one of the best performing pitches. So when you can add more of that to the organization, I think that's good.
Yeah, it's great stuff. Well, before we move on to talk about the Cardinals' second round pick, just a quick ad break here from 314 Sports Cards. They're located at 9640 on Olive Boulevard in Olivet, Missouri. And they are open 10 to 6 Monday through Friday and 10 to 4 on Saturday and Sunday. They'll buy, sell, and trade any sports cards, Pokemon cards, really whatever you've got. They're interested in. And they have the newest selection of packs, boxes, and single cards, whether you're looking for local players or stars from around the league. So please go into 314. It's a great place to spend an afternoon. Andrew's in there all the time. He's always opening packs on Dealing the Cards. I know he's developed an addiction to baseball cards, as he says, but it's a lot of fun. Andrew gets some rush from opening packs, but it is fun. You should go check it out. It's a great time. So go in. Everyone in there is super cool. Tell them we sent you. All right, so let's talk about the Cardinals' second pick here. I think, again, this was a surprising pick. Maybe not quite as much. The Cardinals have gone with prep position players in early rounds in recent years, if you look at a Jordan Walker or a Nolan Gorman. But tell us about this pick. Why are you excited about him, and do you think it's a great move for the Cardinals?
Yeah, this was another pick that surprised me.
Yeah,
I knew that the Cardinals had a competitive balance round B pick. They're picking in the top 5. So, they were able to save some money with the Liam Doyle pick as well. And they had a second round pick, the selection being Ryan Mitchell, as we're going to talk about. But having that added flexibility, I'm sure played a factor in here. But I did not foresee the Cardinals going after a high school player. I don't know why, but I just hadn't, wrapped my head around that idea. So it was a little surprising when they went that direction. But you're talking about a guy that I had Mitchell ranked inside my top 30. A lot of different outlets had him as, close to a first round talent. So when you're able to get a player like that to fall to you 55th overall, I know it commanded an overslot bonus, but still, twitchy athletic player up the middle, was a shortstop, but announced as a outfielder. And, Randy Flores said that, he's going to be assigned as, a center fielder to start his pro career. And I mean, he has that sort of athleticism to stick up the middle, whether it is, center field, played some shortstop as well. Some debate on his arm actions. I think it's a strong enough arm for shortstop, but not the most accurate thrower. So I think that's why we're seeing him assigned in center field. But at the very least, I mean, I think he could play a second base as well if they choose to play him over there. But this is someone that he posted above average contact rates in the summer showcase circuit with a really, really sound approach. This isn't someone that's going to chase outside the strike zone at all. The power potential isn't quite there yet, but we're talking about a guy that's 6'2". I think he has the physical projection to grow into some more power for sure. And this past year, I think, in high school ball, he was slugging a little bit more. I think the bat path was more consistent in a place to consistently loft the ball. So I think that Mitchell is someone, athletic player, going to stick up the middle. We'll see how the defense is like at center field, but you're really betting on the bat to ball skills with him and the overall athleticism. This is someone who stole 39 bases in his high school season. So really athletic player, advanced approach, not going to chase outside the zone. And hopefully with his 6'2" frame, he can grow into some more power. But you talk about not fitting the trends. The Cardinals, they typically go after the high school players with more power potential.
Yeah.
You look at someone like a Nolan Gorman, or, Jordan Walker comes to mind recently. Joshua Baez, even 2021, that's the last year they went after a high school player. Mitchell is different in that sense, more of a bat to ball kind of player. Is there power potential to dream on? Yes, but I think you're more so betting on the bat to ball and his approach, which, is kind of a change of pace in terms of like the high school players that they go after. But at the same time, I think this is someone that this player development staff can mold into a really, really solid player with the kind of athleticism that he has, the advanced approach, the bat to ball skills. And if he can add some more power, we're talking about a very well-rounded player, someone that has so many tools. And I mean, you love to see that, the Cardinals taking a swing in their second round with a guy that might be a first round talent, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see them get a toolsy guy that they can potentially plug and play in the outfield. It'll be interesting to see how long he features as a center fielder in the Cardinal system or how often they play him there. But it sounds like that's the plan right now, which is awesome. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely with prep players, like there's never a floor because they're so young, and there's so much here, but there's a lot to dream on with a guy like Mitchell. And I just love to see such a toolsy, athletic player come into the system. Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think he'll stick at shortstop, but we'll have to see how the Cardinals treat him. I do hope that they develop him as a center fielder. I think that's depth the organization badly needs. I mean, even going back a year ago when we were talking about most important prospects in the system, it might have been over on Deal in the Cards, but we talked about Victor Scott as maybe not the most exciting prospect in the system, but one of the most important because of the lack of center field depth behind him. So for the Cardinals to go out and add another guy that can do that, it's very exciting. So I don't know. With prep players, it can be difficult because you have to wait a really long time. So I was glad to see the Cardinals maybe not go prep in the first round, even though at one point I think I was on board the prep shortstop train. So yeah, just very exciting. Another non-Cardinals-esque pick. So something to like. Breath of fresh air, a new regime. It's awesome. We've already talked about this next guy at 3, but tell us a little more. Reliever in college, big fastball. I mean, I'm noticing a trend here. So
yeah, we touched on him a little bit, but Tanner Franklin, he has some of the best fastball traits in the whole class, I would say. Easy 96 miles an hour. It doesn't look like he's putting too much effort in his delivery. And he's gotten up to 102 with good fastball traits, 18 inches of vert from a 5.6 release. Secondaries are still raw, cutter, baby sweeper, and changeup, none of which really saw too much usage this year. But you're betting on, the kind of arm talent that this guy has. And Tennessee, like I talked about, streamlined his mechanics this year, and his walk rate dropped significantly from 20.5% in 2024 for Kennesaw State to just 5.5% in 2025. So when you have that kind of stuff with the strike throwing that he has and a very easy, repeatable delivery, that I think that it would be easy to foresee him sustaining that velocity, I would say. But a little bit riskier of a pick when we're talking about someone who hasn't, started at the collegiate level. He was a reliever this past year for Tennessee, had major strike throwing issues prior to this year. But you're betting on the pure stuff. And, I'm really interested to see what the player development staff does with Tanner Franklin, because he is still so raw. But I would imagine he's being developed as a starter, and they're going to work to optimize his secondary offerings, and hopefully he can find hopefully he can find more feel in those pitches as he continues to develop as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be interesting to see how much runway the Cardinals give him as a starter, but sounds like they fully anticipate, fully expect to give him quite a bit. So this is another guy where, yeah, there's risk, but like we said before, there's risk with every pitcher you draft, no matter where they are, no matter how polished they look. Pitching prospects are hard. Yeah, I think this is another good pick from the Cardinals. Big upside, a 70 grade fastball, to supplement what they got from Doyle, potential high strikeout stuff. It's a big swing. It's exactly the type of thing you want to see from an organization that, we can't repeat enough, has just played it so safe over the last few years. In the 4th round, the Cardinals took Jack Gurovich. Am I saying that right? I've heard it pronounced multiple different ways.
Yeah, third round, Jack Gurovich.
Oh, yeah, not the fourth. It was their fourth pick, but in the third round because they did get that competitive balance pick. But yeah, he's a third baseman coming out of the University of San Diego, although it seems like his final home is probably going to be first base. Probably doesn't have, the defense to stick at the hot corner. But this is a guy who's registered loud exit velocities. I mean, I think I saw that he got up to 110, 112. At
117.
Oh my gosh. Like that's a big number. Has any Cardinal registered, aside from maybe like Jordan Walker on a ground ball, a 170 or a 117 this season?
I don't think so. But that is also with metal bats. That's going to tick down when he gets over to pro ball when he's using just wood bats. But very impressive.
That is loud stuff. That's a big number. It seems like there's more raw power than in-game power right now, but hopefully the Cardinals can kind of tease that out of him. So what did you think of this pick? Little safer maybe, college hitter, pretty advanced. But where were you on this one?
Yeah, I thought it was a safe-ish pick, I would say. Definitely would like to see the Cardinals see if he could hold his own at third base at least, just because it's a lot harder to make it out as a first baseman. I think with a Gurovich, the raw power is there, but as you alluded to, I don't think the game power matches with the raw power just yet. It's more of a line drive approach, and this is going to be someone that is going to be consistently gap to gap, loud exit velocities. It was a 110 mile an hour, 90th percentile exit velocity, which was one of the top marks in this whole draft. We're talking about 99th percentile in college baseball this past year. So, eye-popping raw exit velocity numbers, but more of a line drive hitter. He did hit 17 home runs this past year for UC San Diego. So it should be interesting to see how that carries over. But I would imagine in more of a wood bat environment, I think this is going to be someone that is more so going to project to hit a lot of doubles as opposed to home runs, just due to the batted ball profile. But yeah, very, very impressive bat when you're able to hit the ball as hard as he does. And, this isn't someone that's going to miss hit a lot. He's not going to hit pop outs. It's a lot of line drives. And with that, he's going to be a high BABIP kind of player, as you could imagine, if he can consistently show that as he did with San Diego this past year. Very aggressive approach, but it's still manageable. It's a 78% zone swing rate, but he's only chasing 24% of the time. So to have that sort of in-zone aggressiveness when he's not chasing is very impressive to me. The contact rates are about average, I would say. So you're really betting on, the balls in play to boost up that average. But I think this is going to be someone that hits for a relatively high average just due to those BABIP skills and hitting line drives to all fields.
Yeah, it's a fun profile, and there's still the chance that he starts to elevate more as he gets time in the system and time with St. Louis's player development staff. Do you think a move to the outfield would ever be in play? Could he play a corner outfield? I know, the run tool isn't necessarily great here, but the Cardinals have shown a willingness to give guys lots of chances to stick out there, and they're always looking for new outfielders. And I have a good feeling that, when Gurovich matriculates and passes up the system, they're still going to be looking for solutions out there. So do you think there's potential for corner outfield spot, or are we looking at a guy who's going to be in the infield?
It's hard to say. He spent most of his time at first base, also played some third base, and he has played a handful of games in left field. I'd just like to see him, have a little bit more positional versatility than just first base, because there's just so much pressure on the bat at that point. And I do think this is going to be someone that hits, but if the power potential isn't, if he's not going to give you 25, 30 home runs, most first basemen do, I just feel like his value might be better at other positions if he can handle his own there. But yeah, it should be interesting to watch. I would like to see the Cardinals try him out at more than just first base.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You expect to see first basemen be big power hitters, potentially hit cleanup for you. And while there is raw power here, we'll just have to wait and see how it projects out. Well, before we get going, that should conclude the day one picks, right? That's the 4 guys they got to draft on the first day, which is awesome. I mean, the Cardinals haven't done that very often lately. So, but before we do, just a quick message from one of our
The Deal on the
sponsors.
Cards podcast is proud to be partnered with Underdog Sports, our favorite place to play fantasy games. You're now eligible to play in Illinois, Missouri, Indiana, and 37 other U.S. states. You got to check out Pick'em. It's so easy to play. You just pick 2 to 8 stats of your favorite players and choose whether they'll go higher or lower. You can win 20 times your money by going 5 for 5. If that sounds like fun, sign up with our promo code CARDS to claim your first free pick plus first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We can't wait to see your entries.
Yeah, so I mean, with Eric Fetty on the mound tonight, there's probably some interesting pick'ems you could put together. The over on walks or the higher on walks is usually free. The under on strikeouts, but against a bad Rockies lineup, who knows? Could be a very fun night if you like to dabble on Underdog. But it's a lot of fun. So get on there, have some fun, play responsibly, and don't play in states where you're not allowed to, like me, unfortunately, here in Ohio now. So, all right, moving on to the Cardinals' day 2 selections. I mean, the trends they established on the first day, for the most part, continued through the rest of the draft. So at 120, with their 4th round pick, their 5th overall pick, the Cardinals nabbed Cade Crossland, a lefty from Oklahoma. And I believe they went over slot value on him with some of the money that they saved on the Doyle pick. So that was an interesting thing for the Cardinals to do. Tell me a little bit about this pick, Kareem.
Crossland has one of the best fastballs in the whole draft. He was someone that transferred from a junior college to Oklahoma, didn't put up the craziest numbers this past year, but we're talking about an arm that has gotten up to 98. So I mean, I don't think he's short of arm talent. He sits closer to 92 miles an hour, but I think in pro ball, this is going to be someone that's closer to the mid 90s, especially with his higher end velocities that he showed this year. But you're really betting on the changeup with a Cade Crossland. The pitch has an outlier amount of arm side movement. It's close to 21 inches of arm side break, and he got a 50% whiff rate on it. And back-to-back years, the Cardinals have gone after an Oklahoma lefty with one of the best changeups in the class. So that's interesting to think about. Obviously, Braden Davis last year, and to go with Cade Crossland this year, another lefty with a plus changeup. That was an interesting pick for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and this feels un-Cardinals-y when you look at the track record at the D1 level. I mean, even before he transferred, he really struggled with a junior college. I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, but I think it's Wichita Baptist, where he had a 7.3 ERA before transferring. He was solid in his next JUCO season, but at Oklahoma this year, I know he was dealing with injuries, but that 6.32 ERA is something that might scare off some fans. But I don't think that's totally indicative of his potential as a starter. We've talked about the tools, like they are there. This is a guy, like you said, with a great fastball, good supporting stuff. I think this is a great pick for the Cardinals. And I think this is a nice mix of a guy with some pitchability, because there are secondary offerings there that are interesting, and some ceiling. Like, that's a good fastball. And he's coming from the left side. He's gotten up to 98 on the pitch. I know he's dealing with, I believe it's a strained back muscle for most this year, but he recorded 84 strikeouts in 68 innings. So big time strikeout stuff. This is another guy I was very excited to see the Cardinals go after. And it was nice to see him use a haircut on Liam Doyle to go out and sign a guy over slot value with their 5th pick. So we can keep going through some of these guys, Kareem, but those are the Cardinals' first 5 picks, and that does get into day 2. Are there any guys from here on out that you think were good steals that we either haven't talked about yet or haven't touched on enough?
Let's go with the next pick. So round 5, right-hand pitcher Ethan Young from Eastern Carolina. Yeah. Another guy that transferred from a JUCO, Catawba Valley Community College. He's a guy that was a reliever this past year for East Carolina, but I think there's enough in there for him to start. He was used as a multi-inning kind of guy out of their bullpen, and there were some games where he had almost like a starter's workload, like 80, 90 pitches. So And in those games, he did show an ability to maintain his velocity deep into start. So I think the Cardinals are buying a starter here with an Ethan Young, even if he hadn't started in college this past year for East Carolina. But it's a mid-90s fastball, average 95 up to 99, and a ton of arm side break on the pitch, 17 inches, and moderate carry as well. But his best offering is pretty clearly his mid 80s slider. It's just a pure bullet gyro slider. 48% whiff rate this year. There are other secondaries that he's flashed. He throws a changeup, a curveball, but he's predominantly just a 2-pitch kind of guy. So I think seeing some of those other secondaries tick up in pro ball once he, I imagine, gets stretched out to start, I think that's something to look at. But we're talking about a guy that has big time arm talent, like a lot of the Cardinals picks, in the draft, mid 90s with ease, up to 99 with pretty good characteristics. I mean, him getting 17 inches of arm side tail on the pitch is pretty nuts. And to pair with the gyro slider that really tunnels well off of it. So, I mean, I think he's an interesting guy that the Cardinals ended up selecting in the 5th round. And then a little bit later in the draft, someone like a Cameron Nickens from Austin P stands out to me. Had a breakout season for Austin P. He transferred from Houston, I believe. Didn't really have the craziest college track record prior to that season, but some of his underlying data really popped for me. The contact rates above average. His 90th percentile exit velocity was 107. He was impacting the ball a lot. I mean, 93 mile an hour average exit velocity. Didn't chase much, only an 18.7% chase rate. So when you're looking at just the fundamentals, the contact rates, the swing decisions, and the exit velocities, this is a guy that had a tremendous season for Austin P. Won ASUN Player of the Year. So I mean, I think he's a guy, 17th round pick, someone that really broke out in his senior season for Austin P after transferring. 422, 520, 768 slash line is pretty nuts. So, I mean, those are a couple names, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, I was interested in the 16th round when the Cardinals went after Alex Breckheimer. This is a guy who they signed for a $200,000 bonus, which was actually bigger than anyone else. Like, it was a larger bonus than they allocated to anyone else on day 3. They love their, former JUCO guys. But after 2 years at the JUCO level, he transferred to Kansas before his junior year. Spent 2 seasons with the Jayhawks and emerged as their primary closer this year. So he pitched in a pretty competitive Big 12 conference, recorded 7 saves for the Jayhawks. That fastball touched 98 this year. So there's big velocity there. Definitely some stuff to dream on. He's got a huge frame too at 6'5", 275. That can take some punishment. So that's a guy that I'm interested in to see how he moves on. But yeah, it was nice to see the Cardinals stay aggressive in those later rounds, continue to target guys with pitches that they like and can develop. So yeah, and also great story from a small town of 4,000 people. There was a good interview on him that I read the other day. So nice heartwarming story as well late in the draft. Is there anybody else that you really want to talk about here as we bump up against the 70-minute mark?
I guess 11th rounder Jalen Flores comes to mind.
Yeah.
He had a down year this past year for Texas. Had some draft helium heading into the season, potentially being a top 5 round pick, but he slipped to the 11th round. Didn't have the best season after a breakout season prior where he hit 340, where he slashed 340, 408, 656. There's a lot of power in the bat, but the swing decisions are just not up to par where they need to be, and we saw that this year where his numbers really diminished, but there's still some pop in the bat. He had 13 home runs, 18 doubles, and he's as sure-handed of a shortstop as you're going to get, which adds to his profile. So, I mean, if his swing decisions can improve a little bit, I still think the bat to ball is close to average, maybe a little bit below average, but I think it's passable. But if he can find better feel for the strike zone, I think this is someone that could be a steal in the 11th round. He had a major 2024 season but slipped a little bit after the season that he had in 2025.
Yeah, it's interesting. You talk about some of the hype he had coming into this year. It's not the first time either. He was a big time prospect coming out of high school. And it looks like he had a chance to maybe be selected at some point beforehand. He was also draft eligible after his sophomore year. And I think he was surprised then to not be picked as well. So this is a guy with some pedigree. There is a power profile there that's a little bit interesting. And anytime you get a guy who's coming out of a major SEC program like this, who was given the opportunities he was given there, like there's a reason. The pedigree is nice. It's great to see the Cardinals get value like that in the 11th round. So especially for like 175, that's not bad at all. That's chump change for a big league organization like this to take a flyer on a guy who teams have been interested in before. So another solid pick for the Cardinals. I mean, I really don't think that at any point during the time I followed the draft, I thought, ooh, like that's a wasted pick or they totally botched that one. Like, I just think it was a very solid draft, top to bottom. They found value in the late rounds as far as we know right now. Like, yeah, maybe none of these guys pan out. And in 2 years, we're like, oh man, that last draft was terrible. They should have drafted the safe guys, whatever. But as of right now, like it really does feel to me like they knocked it out of the park for the most part. The picks at the top were exciting. There's stuff to dream on. The picks in the middle rounds, they found value there. They found good guys in the late rounds. Lots of toolsy players, lots of guys you can dream on. So how would you sum up this draft after all that?
Yeah, a lot of power arms. I think a change of pace in that sense, as the Cardinals typically, especially at the top of the draft, they don't go after these upper echelon stuff, kind of pitchers that have so much stuff, right? So I think that was a pleasant surprise this year, and overall, it was a surprising draft. But I came away really impressed by what the scouting staff did overall, and yeah, really excited to see all these names make their pro debut, and looking forward to watching their pro careers unfold.
Absolutely. On our way out the door here, how many of these guys? And I mean, obviously, it's just an estimate. Probably don't know exactly how the Cardinals are going to treat all of them, but how many of these guys you think get a cup of coffee at some level of the minor leagues this year between now and the end of the season? And does that include Liam Doyle? I don't think it should, but it could.
I don't know. I think that the college bats, all of the college bats, I would guess, unless they're injured, I think they will get a chance to play some games down over at Palm Beach. The pitchers, you just never know. A lot of them have, like a Liam Doyle had such a big workload for Tennessee this past year that the Cardinals typically give those guys, rest, and 2020, the following year is when their pro career will kick off. But this is also a different player development staff. So maybe Liam Doyle does get a couple innings here and there at the Palm Beach level. We'll just have to wait and see. But I would say all the college bats, assuming they're healthy, I think they'll get a taste at the Palm Beach level. Ryan Mitchell, I would imagine that he's getting some work over at the complex. I don't know if he's going to get in-game action, but he's still really young, 18 years old. So I don't think we'll see him at Palm Beach to end the year, but definitely 2026. I think we'll see Ryan Mitchell at that level. But yeah, should see all the college bats, as long as they're healthy, get a chance to start their pro career. Some of the reliever-only arms, I would say, as well. But you just don't know about some of these guys that have, big-time workloads, like a Liam Doyle, for example. Tanner Franklin, not sure about him because he was used out of relief. I don't think he had that same sort of workload. Ethan Young, he was a multi-inning reliever. I think he pitched 70-something innings, so maybe not for him. But we'll just have to wait and see. I don't know. With the Cardinals having a new player development staff in place, I think they could handle this differently than they have in the past.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It's just one of those wait and see things, and we'll be watching with all of you guys, as this develops. But it's going to be fun to cover. We know that. So next on the docket for us is the deadline. Big stuff to talk about there, potentially adding lots of new talent to the system. So we'll be following that closely. We hoped we'd be able to take some Q&A, but we're running up against 75 minutes here. So sorry about that, guys. We always go long. We get too excited about the content we have on the docket. But if you have any questions that you really want us to address, feel free to throw them in the comments of this video, or reach out to us on Twitter. We're pretty active in that space, and we have a lot of fun, discussing whatever's going on. So if there's anyone you want us to talk about, I know a lot of people want to hear about Nathan Church, and we're hoping to address that at some point in the future. A breakout season. Does Kareem think it's for real? Who knows? We'll be telling you next time. So, or maybe the time after, whatever it allows for us. But yeah, thanks again for tuning in, everybody, and have a great day. Go Cards, but sell at the deadline.